It's 2 o'clock on the East Coast in New York City, 11 o'clock in the morning in California. Welcome to FoxNews.com Strategy Room. This is Freedom Watch with Judge Napolitano. And my first guest is a guy I love working with here at Fox News Channel, Glenn Beck, who joins us by phone from another studio in another location. Glenn, welcome. I won't even ask where that secret location is, Mr. Vice President, but welcome back to Freedom Watch. Since you and I last talked, and we talk almost every day, the President of the United States and his Secretary of the Treasury have asked for authority from the Congress to allow the Secretary of the Treasury to examine the books of any corporation he thinks might be in trouble, to take over the management of that corporation, to hire and fire, to abrogate contracts, to impair legitimate corporate expectations, and they think that the Congress has the ability and power to give them the power to do this.
Really?
So just when you think things couldn't get any worse,
it does. You know what, Judge? I am so tired of people saying that people that think like you or think like me or a libertarian or whatever, that we're crazy for saying that this government could go socialist. Not Obama, but this government could go socialist. You know, that's exactly what they've been doing, both parties, for a very long time. Now we're in hyperspace, going so fast, and I'm also really tired of being called crazy, because I think that we might be on the verge. All you need is a financial crisis. All you need is real fear, and we've got totalitarianism. We have statism. We have fascism. Just tell me how it doesn't become fascism, maybe not with this president, but with this kind of power.
Right, and Glenn, with this kind of mentality. I mean, on my radio show with Brian Kilmeade this morning, Brian and the judge, Congressman Steve Shadegg, who for the most part defends the Constitution and believes in the free market, he's a Republican from Arizona, tells us that Speaker Pelosi will allow no hearings and no debate on the issue in the House. Senate rules are different in the House, of whether the Congress will give the Secretary of the Treasury and the President the power to isolate and pick off corporations.
I'm telling you.
I think the mob mentality, the same mob mentality that voted for a 90% tax on these AIG executives, the same mob mentality that's trying to destroy AIG, even though the government owns it and should hope that it does well and can earn back so it can pay back the $200 billion we've invested in it. The same mob mentality may actually get beyond the president's ability to restrain.
Oh, I mean, that's all we're turning into now is a mob. We're turning into a mob, an angry mob. And you know what? It's not even, the people are not even engaged yet in the mob mentality. The buses that were sent to the AIG executives, that was a show. It was a circus. It was set up by Acorn. The mob that was in front of AIG that was so bad that they had to take the name AIG off the building, demanding justice, where we have a congressman or a senator saying that they should commit Harry-Carry. That mob was a union mob set up by the Service Workers Union. It is a show that's going on, and it's the same kind of stuff that has happened in country after country after country just before it falls into the hands of totalitarianism. It is truly frightening if we don't get America to wake up and tell our Congress, stop, enough is enough.
Let me tell you about another mob, and I talked about this with my good friend, our good Fox colleague, Shepard Smith, yesterday. On his Studio B show at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
I love Shep.
A mob of one showed up at the house of each of the AIG executives. And this individual said, I have in my hand a list. And on this list is your name, address, and the amount of your bonus. If you don't give this money back, I will publish this list. Now, if I were that mob of one, or you were that mob of one, we would be arrested for blackmail. But that mob of one was a guy named Andrew Cuomo, the Attorney General of the state of New York, a professional thug who violated the laws in order to intimidate these people into giving their money back. I'm not making this up. This was in a letter written by one of these people in today's New York Times. That's how dangerous the mob can become when it receives the sanction of the government.
Isn't it amazing that Andrew Cuomo is also the guy that was instrumental in Fannie and Freddie? He was the guy who took them, I think it was from 41 to 56% of these risky loans. He was the one that said we should go into very, very low-income loans. If these people are they're doing the same thing, whether it's here in New York, in Connecticut, or in Washington, D.C., they are kicking up dust because it covers their tracks and their fingerprints. Their fingerprints, these politicians, their fingerprints are all over this. And so they are pointing to another boogeyman. Meanwhile, the same people in Washington that are complaining about $165 million in bonuses going to people who don't deserve them have just sent offshore 55% of all the money that the taxpayers put into AIG.
Unbelievable. Glenn, what are you doing this afternoon at 5 o'clock?
5 o'clock, we're talking to a guy who lectured Gordon Brown yesterday on the floor, talking to the EU, and said Europe must stop spending money. And he said about England, he said, we are bankrupt. We are bankrupt. We have no more money. And boy, when you hear his advice to Gordon Brown, it sounds like the same advice that should be coming to Washington. We're going to talk about what the future is for England with him and any advice he might have for us.
That's the Glenn Beck Show, 5 o'clock Eastern on the Fox News Channel. Glenn, I know you have to get back to work. Thanks a million for joining us.
Judge. Love you. Thanks.
Shep Smith, how are you? Welcome to Freedom Watch. Do you think that's what we call this, Freedom Watch, and it's got a nice little cachet, and there's a lot of folks out there that regularly tap in and watch it at their convenience, and we've been getting close to 100,000 hits on it, which is nice. A low number for Studio B, but a good number for this. Do you think that finally the arguments that you have allowed me to make on Studio B, that people should take the Constitution seriously, that those arguments are starting to resonate? For years, you and I have been doing this for 11 years. I thought I was a voice in the wilderness. But do you think we're connecting now?
I think we reached a level last Thursday of a really frightening level. I don't even know how to put it into words, and that's kind of rare for me. When that House of Representatives got up there and literally pretended, they just put on a fake show for everyone, pretending that they were going to do something that the Constitution doesn't allow them to do. And you said from the very first moment, they cannot do this. They will not do this.
You're talking about the 90% tax.
Of course. They can't do that. They won't do it. Sure enough, the Senate and the President backed away from it. And now they seem to be doing it again. But when Andrew Cuomo, it is literally blackmail. And I don't understand why the whole world isn't going, the Constitution says no, this isn't a matter of opinion. This is fact.
Did you see the article, the letter to the editor in the form of an op-ed by one of the AIG executives? Mm-hmm. It was just terrifying. Terrifying. Here's a guy who does work in 206 and 207 and signs a contract he'll be paid in 209. And is told up to the last minute, you're going to get paid, you're going to get paid. The minute before the AIG exec testifies before Congress, the AIG CEO begs these people not to take their pay. And then Cuomo shows up in the driveway saying, I'm going to reveal who you are. You think these buses are bad? Wait till I tell everybody how much you earn.
And they've got us all, they have us programmed now to go along with this. Bonuses are bad, big fat, rich people are terrible, rich people are terrible. When we all know how this happened, we all know why this happened. They began changing laws years ago, and the Congress was complicit with the lobbying that's been going on for all these years. It all changed around us. And they want to distract us by talking about bonuses of people who are trying to unwind a company and doing exactly what they were told to do. If you perform Service A, we will give you compensation list 1. The Service A is performed, it's time for compensation. The compensation doesn't come, that's a break in a contract, and that's it.
And a contract is a contract. It's the basic building block of all commercial transactions in society. If we enter into a contract and you can't hold me to that contract and word gets out, then a contract literally isn't